Lakers head coach Frank Vogel speaking with Mike and the media via Zoom.
Hey, Frank, what did you see most of all in that second half? It was, I think, 34 points and just seemed like you ran out of gas. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I don't know if we ran out of gas. I mean, we just didn't have a great rhythm that second half in any way. You know, I mean, we'll go back and look at the tape and see where we went wrong. We didn't have as much of a defensive disposition, and that forced us to not get out in the open court, and playing without Anthony. We're just looking to find a rhythm with combinations that are not used to being out there, and we just didn't find it. We've been pretty good on the road, but tonight was definitely not our night.
Are there certain things that you're looking for aside from LeBron initiating on offense that either didn't come tonight and that you think still need to come along, especially if AD's out?
No, for sure. We have plenty of firepower to win this basketball game tonight. I got to do a better job putting guys in the right spots to be successful and to use our depth. But we just didn't get going in that second half.
Bill?
Hey, Frank, you go back 24 hours and you guys had this, great spirited fourth quarter in a close game where you were able to really summon something late. How do you account for the same team 24 hours later, not being able to kind of draw on the same thing?
That's the NBA. I mean, that happens. We were different tonight than last night, obviously, with the guys we had in there. But one night's different than the next, and there's different energy in every game. I thought we started the game with good energy, but down the stretch we just lost with it.
Dave?
Frank, you thought your team would be a little edgy, a little angry about what occurred in Philadelphia. How do you respond to this one? You set out to not lose two.
Yeah, when you have nights like this in a long season, we'll be fine. We'll bounce back. Not happy. None of us are happy with how we played tonight, but we'll bounce back.
Dan?
Frank, you talked a lot about how you guys are going to get everybody's best shot a lot of times this season. Did you see that from Detroit? It seemed like they were really physically invested in the game, talking a lot and stuff like that. Did you feel like they were at a different intensity level maybe than you guys were?
I thought our intensity, I don't think it was an intensity thing. I think it was more of an execution thing, and then, like I said, the second half when the shot's not falling, you don't have a rhythm in your offense. Your focus wanes, and, you do credit Detroit. Detroit played a good basketball game, but certainly this is a game we should win.
Last question, Kyle.
Frank, you guys had a pretty good record, in games where AD didn't play or LeBron didn't play last year. I'm thinking of an OKC game where Kuz and Rondo kind of led you guys to a big win there. Do you feel like that part of your culture is still intact, or with a new group, do you feel like that will require just kind of building back, or do these things even carry over year to year?
I do. We have a team that can make up for a couple guys being out, and I think we'll be that way throughout the course of the year. But tonight, like I said, sometimes you just have some nights where you're off in a lot of ways, and that was us tonight.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, that is Frank Vogel. We now have our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan joining us. What do you got for us, Brez? What are your takeaways?
I know you guys talked a little bit about Kyle Kuzma, but he's always so much more different when he's in the game as a starter. So when you hear he's going to start, I believe I stood here about 3 hours ago and said, guys, I have an announcement. Kyle Kuzma is going to have a big game. It's not that unpredictable because for whatever reason, he is just better, in that starting lineup. Now, tonight, he came into the game not really doing too well in the scoring column the last 4 games, averaging only 4 points. Tonight, you see the numbers there.
Pistons' second worst team in the league. They had their worst loss of the year last night, so both teams were on a back-to-back. Outscored in the fourth quarter, 25-14. Rob, how about this? Something you were saying right before it came on. 34 points in the second half for Lakers. That's the lowest point total of the year.
That's low.
That's low.
Very low. But the thing about it is, I think, James, you and I had more energy in your James on Fire segment than the Lakers had all night.
Might I say the James on Fire segment, the pregame show, was Emmy Award winning.
Hell yeah, we could have gone out there.
Might just roll that tonight.
Oh, we should. But you got to think about this. this is the one time bad cop Rob is not going to come out because they've been on a road trip. And it's hard during COVID. You know, you get a kind of little stymied. You can't leave the hotel. You can't do anything. You know, I could tell you a little laziness kind of creeps in. And you can't help it because you're just stuck in this hotel not doing anything. So they don't have that energy and that effort. And they're missing AD. So there's a lot of things going against them tonight. So, bad cop Rob is not even mad tonight.
Big game?
There are two things. Yeah, it's an embarrassing loss, obviously.
Yeah.
But, two things. Every night is going to be a big night for whoever the Lakers are playing. Detroit, the worst record. But when the Lakers come to town, it's show and tell. It's time to show out on them. Also, you have to realize, regardless of Detroit's record, they're still professional NBA players. They got here by being really good. It's just not working out as a team and individually. Guys like Wayne Ellington tonight hitting threes. And once they saw that the Lakers were going to let them hang around, because I think most underrated teams, they wait for the big punch to knock them out. That never happened. And so Detroit felt like they could, stay in the game. They thought they could win. Griffin hitting threes, Plumlee, exercising his talent out there. So it's an ugly loss. But I agree with Rob, man. This is an unusual season coming out of the bubble into something else kind of messy. And I just think subconsciously, they probably thought they were going to beat the Pistons. Resting AD, thought they could get away with it. But Detroit showed up to play tonight, and the Lakers couldn't overcome. I mean, we know that's not the Lakers. 34 points in the second half. And
interestingly enough, big game. It was kind of the way for me that second quarter ended. Lakers were up 57-50. It seemed to have some life. They're actually shooting a great percentage. They were shooting 60% from three, 9 of 15 at the time. And then missed a bunny, and Pistons went on a 6-0 run, and that game kind of changed in that last minute, and the Pistons came out on fire. And the Lakers from that point on only made 2 threes the rest of the game. I mean, Wayne Ellington and Blake Griffin had 11 threes between them. Yeah. Lakers as a team had 12, and just the 34 points in the second half. It's interesting. It was 87-88 with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left in that fourth quarter. THT hit a 3. The Lakers didn't score again for what seemed like 2 hours.
I know.
It was 7 minutes. And in that time, the Pistons went on a 14-0 run. And I think we're just used to LeBron doing what he does every single fourth quarter. He only had 2 points in the second half. He had 0 in the fourth.
The thing about it is, we realize
it's got to be other people.
Yeah, LeBron is human. And sometimes when you have nights like this, James said it earlier, you got to go to that bench. You got THT who can come with some energy. You got Trez. You got all these guys that can come with some energy because your big dog LeBron has more years. Pretty much he has more playoff games than anybody on that team has games. So you got to say he's going to have those nights where he just didn't have it or just doesn't have it. And you have to go to the bench. You can't be afraid. As a coach, I wouldn't want to be in this position because how do you tell one of the best players ever played this game, go sit down? It's hard because, he has a competitive spirit. He wants to be out there. But sometimes you got to go to the other guys. Those guys can come with it and bring a little energy and rest a little more. So I think this is one of those nights where you really needed your bench.
But I think it's hard as a coach. Like, when do you think that time is, right? I mean, LeBron's been so good in the fourth quarters. You're starting him in the fourth, right?
You got to roll the dice.
14 in the first quarter.
You got to roll the dice and say, okay, LeBron, what do you think?
Well, what about THT? And we saw Kuz tonight get the start for AD, and he had 22. We talk a lot about Kuz when he does get the start and he gets the shot attempts. Last night it's 4. Tonight it's 17. He ends up with 22 points. It's simple math, right? THT getting some run. James, I'm telling you, man, you watch this kid play, and I know we've talked a lot about it. He's got something, and everyone knows it. And he's 20 years old. He is knocking on the door from